Welcome to the first Scorebook Live Coaches Panel discussion with our new expert, Freddie Rehkow. Washington Federal brings this exciting new opportunity to Washington State high school basketball fans. Freddie, let's jump right into it. We're just past the halfway point in the high school basketball season. Lots of good basketball has been played early on in this season. You look at a lot of good players, a lot of good teams. But first, let's start and look at a couple of the leagues that really stand out. We talked before on camera about two leagues in particular that stand out to you right now. Talk about the Kinko over on the west side of the state.
Over on the Kinko, you've got several teams that are really battling it out. Woodinville, who's been at the top of our ratings. You've got Eastlake. Inglemoor has been kind of the surprise team. You've got Mount Si, who just upset Eastlake here the other night. So there's a lot of good basketball being played over there, and we're starting to see each of them jockeying for position to try to be that top Kinko team. I know from last year, Woodinville, Eastlake, they were the state qualifiers, but Inglemoor and Mount Si look like they're trying to have a say in how it's going to end up this year.
Now, you've had a lot of success as a coach here on the east side of the state, in particular at Central Valley last year, leading the Bears to a national title as well as a state title. GSL is always one of the better leagues across the board in the state, both boys and girls, but the girls look to be maybe the best league in the state. Would you agree with that, disagree?
I think we've got some really good basketball over here. When you look at probably, I think it's 16 of the last 18 state championship games, you've had someone from the GSL representing. This year should probably not be any different. You're going to have, on the 4A level, you're going to have Central Valley, Lewis and Clark, and Gonzaga Prep battling it out. On the 3A side, you've got Mount Spokane, who has kind of really stepped up. They've got a couple of players that have come in this year that have really changed things quite a bit. Nevaeh Henley, transfer from Garfield, as well as Jada Noble from Medical Lake. And with those two, Mount Spokane is 14-0, sitting at top of the GSL. And so we're getting ready, and we can't forget University High School with the McClimate Call twins transferring from Post Falls to the university, along with Ellie Bonai and Kinsley Barrington. They are going to be a team to reckon with as well. So you've got 5 really good teams here at the top of the GSL. And so we're going to see some really good basketball coming down the stretch.
Yeah, it sounds like those are going to be 2 league title races that you're going to be keeping an eye out. You know, the other thing is there are some outlier teams in other leagues in different areas of the state. Any in particular that jump out to you that say, hey, you know what, this team might have a chance to qualify not only for state but really compete for a state title?
Absolutely. When you're looking at the 4A side, I think the first one you got to look at is Kent Ridge. Kent Ridge, we played them last year. Their post goes 6'4", 6'3", with Jaquai Miller and Jordan Jenkins. And so they are a very tough team. You know, one of the things that it'll be interesting to see is with their size, will they be able to keep up with some of the teams that like to run and gun? If they can, they're going to be a tough test. Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak held their own tournament over the holidays, won it. They beat some really good teams. They beat Chiawana. They beat Lewis and Clark for the title of their own tournament. So they're sitting at 12-1 right now, looking to make their mark. Some of the other teams, you'd have to look at Bellarmine Prep. Bellarmine Prep's kind of sliding under the radar a little bit. I know that team well. They're the ones that beat us in 2017, and then last year they were still there. Unfortunately for them, Shalise Smith, their kind of go-to player, was out with an ankle injury and tried to play, but it was really tough. But they've got a couple players still there that can help them compete. And then the other one is Skyview. Skyview coming into this past week was 13-1. Their leading scorer, Hannah Booth, went down, and then Kaz Parks ended up with an injury in that game as well, and they ended up dropping one to Camas. And so Camas, they were there last year. They could also make that run. So there's quite a bit of the different teams out there, and you can't forget Sunnyside. Sunnyside, another interesting team. I mean, I don't think anybody on their team is probably over 5'9", but they can shoot the ball, run the floor, set it 12-2. And then your outliers, and it'll be interesting to see how they go through the playoffs, would be Todd Beamer and Curtis.
So lots of good teams at the 4A level. What about the 3A? Anybody really stand out to you at the 3A level?
The 3A is going to be exciting. The top 4 teams are literally some of the best teams in the state, and I say that at any level. When you're looking at the top schools, you're looking at Prairie. Prairie is loaded. They've got Brooke Walling there, and they are beating the teams they're supposed to beat. And then the one loss that they do have was to Archbishop Mitty, who's a national power, and it was only like a 12, 14 point game there. So Prairie will be there. I think Mount Spokane out of Spokane is going to be an exceptional team. They've got kind of that three-headed monster, and and I think sometimes you have to understand is you don't need just one stud player. You need more than that. And Mount Spokane's got all the pieces there. Hopefully they can make that run. You go down to the Tri-Cities, you're looking at Umotere out of Kamayakan. She's led that team. She's probably closing in on 2,000 points herself. Wow. And so they have the role players, and with her scoring ability, they could definitely make some noise. And then we got to get over to the west side a little bit, and I think that's an area that a lot of people probably on the west side are aware of, but on the east side not so much. And that's when you're talking about Garfield with Delia Daniels. She's a 6'4" post that can do some damage. Then you can look at West Seattle, Seattle Prep. Those are probably your front runners. You'll have a couple outliers that might make a run. But when you're looking at probably that first 6 teams there are the strongest by far.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's going to be, some interesting playoff races for the league titles, for district seeding, leading into the Tacoma Dome, the Yakima Dome, and then the Spokane Arena for the B schools. But you've mentioned quite a few good teams and good programs. Some programs that everybody knows and thinks that, hey, they're going to be there at the end of the year. They're there. There's a few upstarts. But talk about the players, the quality of players that are here in the state of Washington this year. You look at your all-state, we look at the Scorebook Live players to watch list at the start of the year. Then we look at the mid-season all-state list. Give me a couple of your upperclassmen that have really kind of shined through the first part of the season.
Well, I think when you're looking at that, you've got to understand that you do have your upperclassmen. We have some underclassmen that are going to stand out too. But when we're looking at our upperclassmen in particular, we have to first look at Jordan Jenkins out of Kent Ridge. She is about 6'3". She handles the ball well. She scores inside well. She's averaging right now about 19 and a half points and 8 rebounds a game. So, I mean, her presence is going to be felt when she's on the floor. And she runs the floor pretty well for what we would consider a post player. Gets up and down the floor, sees the floor well, and actually drops off some assists as well. Brooke Walling out of Prairie. She's a Fresno State commit, and she's kind of the engine to that machine that they've got over there at Prairie. Some of the other seniors, Jacinta Buckley out of Lewis and Clark. Get to see her on a regular basis here in Spokane. Just a smooth lefty, can shoot the three, has really extended her game outside a little bit, but can play inside, grabs rebounds. I think the other night against Central Valley in a tough loss. I thought I heard, I know she had 19 points, but I thought I'd heard that she had pulled down 19 rebounds in that game. So she knows how to get there, and she's got that force that kind of drives her a little bit. A couple other seniors that kind of stick out. Jaquia Miller out of Kent Ridge, another 6'4", averaging 16 and a half points and 10 and a half rebounds a game. So when you look at Jenkins and Miller, you understand what I'm saying. Kent Ridge is someone that people have to take really seriously, because that's a lot of points, a lot of rebounds. Another one is Tamika Whitman out of Central Valley. She and along with her backcourt mates of Cameron Scaife and Maddie Simmelink, those three have that national playoff experience, and so we're starting to see that as they have taken on a new coach and a new kind of system. They've had to make some adjustments, and they're starting to make those adjustments, and now we're starting to see them roll off these wins. So those are some of our seniors, along with maybe one more I'd like to mention is out of Gig Harbor's Brenna Maxwell. She's averaging almost 26 points, 7 rebounds a game. And so once again, Gig Harbor last year made a great run, won it, and she's trying to get them back as well. So there's a senior that's got a reason to play.
Well, you talk about seniors, they're going to be, some of those as you mentioned, are going to be playing at the next level. Talking to yourself and a few other coaches across the state, they say, we've got a nice upperclassmen group, but we also have a really good group of underclassmen across the state. And some of them play for some smaller schools, so maybe they don't get the notoriety across the state. But if you really follow high school basketball at the girls' side, in the state of Washington, you're going to know about these girls. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that oftentimes gets lost. You know, even as a coach, we have a pretty good idea of the players we're going to play against or the players that we might potentially come against. But as a 4A coach, I really didn't know a lot about some of the smaller schools. One of the things I've been trying to do is find out, you know, who some of these players are, and you know, that's where I think it's for our benefit and for the state's benefit. It's nice if coaches can let us know who these players are and kind of open up, and you know, and as they kind of learn what our purpose is, they'll be able to come in with some more of these players. But some of the ones that really stand out, it's real easy to first point to Haley Van Lith out of Kashmir. She played for the FIBA, you know, USA team. They won a gold medal, averaging almost 34 points a game. This girl can drop 40 points on you in a heartbeat. and I say that in all sincerity. The girl's got handles. She can shoot, can definitely pass. And it's just, for her, it's going to be, you know, if they can all play together and take care of business, because last year they lost a close one in the state championship game. You got Talia von Olhoffen out of Tri-Cities Prep. She's averaging almost 32.5 points a game, 10.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 steals. You know, some people would say, well, it's a small school. I don't care whether it's a small school, big school. You still got to put the ball in the hole. You still got to grab the rebound. Still got to pass the ball. And so she's showing she's got those abilities, and she's a sophomore. You know, Van Lith is a junior, and that's why I'm listing some of these that are just amazing. Mia Hughes out of Woodinville. Got to see her firsthand last year twice, especially in the state championship game. Sophomore, averaging 21.5 points, 7.8 rebounds. She is kind of what we would consider an undersized post, but she's starting to really work on her game, move outside a little bit. And so she's, you know, when talking to her, she's really just trying to up her game so that she's ready for that next level. Some of the other ones that stand out, Delia Daniels, I mentioned out of Garfield, 6'4" post. I mean, she's starting to turn heads. I mean, this is a kid that, as more people see her, she went to some camps, win against some of the bigger names, and you know, coaches are starting to see her. Keely Burton out of Eastlake. She's averaged 16.1 points, 13.1 rebounds. Solid player, likes to bang on the inside, plays hard. Another one of those reasons why Eastlake has been successful these past couple of years. And then a couple of names that I'm guarantee you most people haven't heard of, but I want to really touch on these because this is kind of what we're shooting for when we're talking about this. Juliana Walker out of Annie Wright High School in Tacoma, sophomore. Now get this, Dan, she's 5'6". Okay, she's a guard. She's averaging 37.1 points, 5.5 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 8.3 steals.
Some numbers.
That's some numbers. and here's the cool part for her. She's got a backcourt mate who's a freshman, 5'5", Jasmine Stone, averaging 20 points a game. So that backcourt is averaging 57 points a game. I don't care what level. That's putting the ball in the hole. Another name is Macy Burnham out of Liberty. I know her brothers well because as my boys went through, I got to see her brothers play. She's doing a great job. She's a junior at the 2B level, averaging almost 26 points, almost 8 rebounds a game. And these are just some kids that they can play ball, and you could probably take and put them in a 4A system. Would it be the same numbers? Probably not, but you'd still be able to see them and say these kids can play some ball. So I just think there's a lot of young players out there that, you know, in these small schools especially, that just, they're not seen, but man, they're doing some damage.
Yeah, pretty impressive list. So before we let you head out of here, give us quickly your front runners as we start preparing for the playoffs in the state tournament, because everybody's going to want to know who are the front runners for a state title.
Well, you know how this is going to go. I'm going to say this. I'm going to get some hate mail or whatever. If I'm looking at the 4As, I think first and foremost you've got to look at Kent Ridge. Glacier Peak is another one that could be there. Woodinville. You can't count out Central Valley because the experience and just they know how to get there. The ones that might surprise a few people could be, and I say surprise, Lewis and Clark was there and they've got the tools. It's just a matter of putting it all together. And if they can get that there, I mean, I would say those were probably your front runners, with U-High having something to say about that as well. At the 3A level, I think this is going to be really interesting. I mean, if I'm wanting to watch to find out not know who has the best chance 4As. If I want to go and watch what I think is going to be the most competitive and night in and night out, you're sitting there going, these are the best teams. Prairie, Mount Spokane, Kamaiak, and then Garfield. Those are your top 4 in my opinion. But West Seattle and Seattle Prep, we'll know more this week. West Seattle plays Prairie, and I know Prairie just came off a big win over Rogers Puyallup. Rogers Puyallup went into that game 10-3, I believe, and Prairie beat them 81-26.
Well, it sounds like after talking to you a little bit that there's so many good teams out there that we're going to need these next 3-4 weeks before we get into the district playoffs to kind of sort a few more things out. But there you have it, the first Washington Federal Scorebook Live girls panel with our expert Freddie Rehkow. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to doing it again.
Thank you.